Pushing open the door to the silence room, Lan Wangji placed the Wangji guqin onto the mahogany guqin stand. Suddenly, two round, fluffy snowballs caught his eye. Rolling on his desk were two chubby, round white rabbits. One was quietly crouching beside his inkstone, with its soft little paws in front of it, licking and scratching, intently washing its face. The other was incessantly hopping on a page of Buddhist scriptures he had copied in the morning. As it moved around, it had already knocked over a small wooden screen and two pen holders. The sheet of rice paper was crumpled and dirty, with a few small muddy paw prints on it. As Lan Wangji, his brow slightly furrowed, approached, the rabbit paused momentarily, raised its head, its little mouth moving briefly, before diving back into nibbling on the soft brush tip of a wolf hairbrush. Where did these wild rabbits come from, daring to run into his quarters and cause such a mess? Slightly at a loss, Lan Wangji picked up the mischievous rabbit. The fluffy little creature kicked its legs in resistance, and something tumbled down from its backside, similarly crumpled piece of paper. Lan Wangji picked it up and immediately recognized the unfamiliar, yet somewhat familiar handwriting. The characters were written in a relaxed and casual, albeit slightly sloppy yet elegant style, completed in one fluid motion. Little old-fashioned, I'm going home. The little rabbit thudded onto the ground. It lay there in a daze for a moment, then rolled over in dissatisfaction, got up and ran to the side of the person who had dropped it, starting to nibble on his snow-white boots. That person seemed unaware of everything around him, holding his breath. He continued reading. It's been nearly a month since I came to Yunxian, yet I still haven't managed to see Lan Wangji. Uncle Zhang went to see Old Man Lan again, but he still brushed him off with the same excuses. Uncle Zhang blamed me for offending all of the Lan family's elders during the morning classes, so no one was willing to put in a good word for me in front of Lan Wangji. It seems I won't be able to see him, but it's not like I care. Perhaps I soaked too long in the cold spring that night because I feel like I've caught a cold these past 2 days. Plus, after being away from Lotus Pier for so long, there's a mountain of things waiting for Uncle Jiang to handle. So we've decided to return home early. I originally wanted to hang out with you, but now it seems impossible. These two wild rabbits were caught by me in the back mountain. Aren't they quite plump? Let them keep you company for me. However, one of them is quite mischievous. It bit me several times when I caught it. If it continues to misbehave, you can roast it. Don't know when I'll be able to see you again. The next time I have the chance to come to Yunxian, I will definitely look for you. By the way, I still don't know your name. Yours, sincerely, Wei Ying. The little rabbit, nestled at Lan Wangji's feet, was trying hard to bite through a loose thread when it was suddenly lifted by the ears and carried into a sturdy, warm embrace, hurriedly heading outside. After a period of jostling, the person holding it seemed to be asking for directions, inquiring about someone's residence. The shaking continued for a while. Then the chest against which its head rested was gently breathing, and the footsteps seemed to slow down slightly. The little rabbit turned its head and found itself in an unfamiliar room. The place was deserted. The bedding on the bed was neatly folded, and the desk and tea table were empty. Two young disciples who were cleaning were surprised to see Lan Wangji rush in, holding a furry little animal to his chest, hurriedly searching for someone. When he couldn't find anyone, he stood bewildered to the side. One of the youths respectfully bowed and said, "Second Young Master Lan, Sect Leader Jiang. Young Master Jiang and Young Master Wei have already left this morning. They have returned to Yunmeng." Lan Wangji nodded slightly, indicating that he heard. The young disciples exchanged glances and continued their cleaning. After a while, one of the disciples found a silk handkerchief left by the pillow, embroidered with a pair of kissing figures. Such a poor aesthetic was naturally not appreciated in Yunxian. Just as the young disciple was about to casually toss it away, Lan Wangji quickly took it with a single word. He ran his fingers over the coarse stitches, treating it as if it were a precious treasure. Carefully, he folded the handkerchief and placed it into his robe. After the Yunmeng Jiang clan left, Lan Wangji's matchmaking process continued in an orderly manner. The long scroll gradually unrolled to its end. The young ladies and their families, having completed their discussions, gradually departed. Yunshen returned to its serene state in the mountains. Names on the scroll were crossed off one by one, leaving only the last name, where the brush tip hesitated, Wei Ying of the Yunmeng clan. In the elegance room, the elders and seniors of the Gusulan clan sat solemnly on either side of the main seat. Their gazes swept lightly over Lan Wangji, who was kneeling before them, occasionally whispering a few words to those beside them. Seated at the chief position, Lan Qiren's eyes paused slightly on Wei Ying's name, a frown forming between his brows. Then, as if he decided to put the annoying name aside, he rolled the name inward, lightly pinched it, and with a flick of his arms, the thick layers of the scroll compressed into a bundle, ready to be discarded. Satisfied with the remaining names, he nodded and handed the scroll to the disciple beside him. The scroll was formally handed over to Lan Wangji. Lan Qiren, stroking the end of his beard, slowly said, "Wangji, you have met all these girls seeking marriage. Write down the names of those you are interested in. The elders of the clan are here to give you guidance. You will choose one with suitable character and family background, whose birth date is also compatible with yours, as your future Dao companion." Lan Wangji nodded in agreement, smoothing out the rice paper on the desk. He took a light breath and focused his mind. Then, under the attentive gazes around him, he picked up the brush and wrote down 2 characters. When the paper was passed to Lan Qiren, his goatee trembled from the corners of his mouth to the tip of his nose. With a wave of his hand, he tossed the paper to the ground and said firmly, "No, this person is not acceptable." The gazes of everyone present followed the sound, and upon seeing the name, they understood. A buzz of discussions filled the hall like the hum of bees. Pointing at Lan Wangji, Lan Qiren said, "Wangji, write it again." This one doesn't count. Think it through carefully before you start writing again." Lan Wangji calmly replied, "Wangji has already thought this through very clearly." Lan Qiren suddenly stood up, exclaiming in disbelief, You haven't even met him. Why would you choose him?" Lan Wangji replied, "Wangji has already met him." Lan Qiren's eyes widened, and he staggered, speechless for quite a while. He didn't notice the knowing smile at the corner of Lan Xichen's mouth beside him. Lan Wangji then recounted the story of Wei Wuxian sneaking out at night, and how he persistently stopped him night after night, naturally skipping over certain details. Utterly unruly, stubborn and ignorant, lawless. This Wei Ying is absolutely detestable, absolutely detestable. The most detestable thing, naturally, was that he had lured away his pure, flawless, beloved disciple and nephew. Lan Qiren looked as if he was about to faint from anger. With every word Lan Wangji spoke, Lan Qiren trembled, as if this mischievous demon Wei Ying was grinning maliciously before him, growing larger inch by inch. After hearing the entire story, Lan Qiren clutched his chest, staggering backward. The people around him were horrified, quickly helping him to sit down, massaging his chest and shoulders, and offering him tea and water. After much effort to calm him down, those around began to join in, recounting to Lan Wangji all the numerous transgressions Wei Wuxian had committed since arriving at Yunshen. They spoke with such heartfelt grief and tears that listeners were moved, and those who heard it felt a shared anger, wishing nothing more than to drag Wei Wuxian back from Yunmeng and hang him for a few days and nights to vent their frustration. Naturally, some noticed that Lan Xichen seemed somewhat indifferent to the criticisms, and even showed a hint of pity and fond regard for Wei Ying. Realizing they had found an ally of Lan Wangji, the group then focused their attention and criticism on Lan Xichen. Lan Xichen bowed deeply in respect to the elders and said, "Actually, I believe that young Master Wei is genuine and sincere, passionate and endearing. He and Wangji complement each other well, one being cool and the other warm. Although he is a bit mischievous, his nature is not bad. As long as Wangji disciplines him more in the future, he will surely settle down and improve, bringing honor to our sect. Masters and uncles, there is no need to worry too much.